I didn't really have high expectations for Microsoft's Gamescom. And I wasn't really expecting much, and they had mentioned not to really expect much, but I still think there was some level of expectation, at least in terms of the quality of what they were going to show, and maybe not be as boring as what we saw. And I just think that, the first of all, right away, if you're an Xbox fan listening to this, you're going to go, well, where's Sony's showcase? The whataboutisms kind of drive me crazy. But listen, I've said it multiple times. I'd rather no show than a bad show. Okay, if you don't have anything to show, then don't show it, right? Like, first off, I want to get into my reaction and all that kind of stuff, but first I want to say, what's up, everybody? I'm Crapgamer, and this is Crapgamer Reviews. Thank you guys for checking out this video about the reaction to Gamescom. I kind of did a little bit of a live thing with Next Gen 720 earlier, where we were kind of covering it. Again, this is something that maybe many expected for it to be something a little bit more than it was. I know that Microsoft themselves said, kind of temper your expectations. But first of all, I want to say this. I thought that Microsoft's E3 was pretty good. But Gamescom is basically, I guess, the European E3. So maybe you expect it to be a little bit better. First, I want to say that I thought the hosts are very mid. The hosts are not very, I guess, I don't know. I just don't get that kind of feeling that, they just seem kind of plastic and kind of not real. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the deal is. But other than that, like, it seems so ingenuine and robotic. And I don't like those kind of shows and that kind of like faux kind of laughter, faux kind of situation. It just doesn't do well, doesn't flow well for these shows. And they didn't do a really good job of kind of flowing, in my opinion. But again, even with that, I think that Microsoft probably let down a lot of people just for basically with how they decided to handle things. And listen, I wasn't expecting anything extravagant, because obviously they laid mostly on the line what they had at E3. But I will say that in terms of what they did show, like, I was expecting maybe to get a little bit more of a show on, on some of the bigger stuff. I would have loved to see more on Redfall, maybe some gameplay of Starfield, a Halo release date, right? Like, these are things that I think a lot of people maybe expected, and it's kind of unfortunate that we didn't get any of that. For me personally, I want to see what happens in the future. I want to see, some of these games in actions, and what we got was just really wasn't very good. I mean, the Dying Light 2 stuff that they started off with, I thought was pretty good, but other than that, and I wasn't really sold on Dying Light 2, and now I am. So I guess a good job with that. They talked about some flight simulator stuff, which doesn't interest me in the least. They talk up a big game about how it's the most played, blah blah blah, but they don't give any numbers. They don't even give players. They did some, and listen, I was live, so excuse me for not having exact order or have everything written down, because we were kind of making fun of how boring this was at the time. Some weird Game Pass stuff, and then it got really weird, right? Because you think, well, maybe they can bring the nose up on it. Then they did this Age of Empires 4 thing, right? So Age of Empires 4, if you didn't know, is a PC exclusive. And they spent 10 or 12 minutes talking about this PC exclusive. They showed no gameplay. In fact, they spent the time talking about trebuchets and projectiles. It was just like really one of the most awful things I've ever seen in a stream. This might be worse than the Xbox Gamescom, where they redid Disneyland Adventures and that Pixar game. I just honestly, it's just that bad. It just does not. And I don't know, like, I can imagine, like, I know that Xbox is PC and PC is Xbox, but I can imagine that most people that are watching a Gamescom or whatever are probably console gamers and have no interest in something like Age of Empires to begin with. So yeah, you have another pretty disappointing aspect right there. And then you kind of go into what was kind of happening with a commercial within a gaming show, where they did cloud gaming commercials, where I guess their Game Pass Cloud, xCloud stuff is coming to consoles this holiday, and I'm not really sure who that's for. I'm not sure who the, like the main person or people that actual would be for. But for me personally, just as like, you know, again, I can barely stream a 1080p video off of Netflix, much less stream anything to actually game and have some kind of good reaction time to. So, you know, it's just one of those things that I feel is probably talked about more than is actually used. In fact, the only time I've ever seen anybody mention it is like the hardcore Xbox fans that do the most kind of capping for Xbox, and they talk about the Series X and how powerful it is, how great it is, and they bought this new TV to showcase it, and then next thing you know, they take that little picture on their cell phone of them playing xCloud right next to their router, and then you never see or hear from them again. Or they get some kind of xCloud attachment or something and free xCloud for life from Microsoft, and they're like, you know, I wasn't really a fan of xCloud, and now thanks to Microsoft and Microsoft partners, and they've given me hundreds of dollars worth of free stuff and free xCloud for life, I have to say I love xCloud. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. You play it, you love it, you do what Microsoft tells you to like. You know, I just, to me, it's all very much fake. Again, sort of like the host, you know. And then they go off into like a Hellblade 1 commercial. Like, you know, this game is from, this is the problem that I had, and I'm not sure if this is all, like I said, in order. So Hellblade 1 gets remastered, but this game was like from what, 2017? Okay, like that's a long time ago. Why are we talking about in 2021 at Gamescom a 2017 game that just got some enhancements? To me, it just goes to show you the lack of new stuff to talk about. And my point gets further proven with the next bit of game stuff that we saw. We saw what, DLC for Wasteland 3? I mean, listen, Wasteland 3 really, you know, like, I don't know, I've never heard anybody talk about this game. I never heard people like were playing it or whatever. It is sort of is what it is, but it's like DLC for Wasteland 3, let's put that in our Gamescom show. Like, that doesn't make any sense. When they said that they were going to show stuff that was already announced, you know, I think a lot of people figured they show off some Halo campaign, or give a Halo release date, or show off, you know, Redfall, or maybe a better clip of Contraband, or, you know, something that was a little bit more engaging than this. Then they talked about some Sea of Thieves stuff. I'm not even sure what the hell they talked about there, but yeah, more Sea of Thieves, you know, and that game came out in 2018. And I get that it's popular and it did well, and the pirate stuff did well, but again, you know, you already talked about it at E3. There wasn't anything really new that I saw. Just doesn't really make sense. And then you have the trifecta of State of Decay 2, like a remastered map or something. Like, State of Decay 2, this game came out in 2018, folks, like Sea of Thieves. I do not understand how this is something that realistically is happening. So basically, during the Gamescom E3, Undead Labs revealed State of Decay 2 Homecoming, a free update coming September 1st, which will introduce a fully remastered version of the game's first map. From the early days of the outbreak in the original State of Decay to the Plague Walls in State of Decay 2 Heartland, Trumbull Valley reflects the evolution of our zombie apocalypse in this new version of the iconic map. Players will learn about the latest developments in this area, discover new characters and storylines, and resolving long-running plot threads. Players can also look forward to 6 new bases, as well as new unique weapons and outfits that can only be found in Trumbull Valley. New missions and new achievements await those who choose to settle in on this map. According to this, State of Decay 2 also surpassed 10 million lifetime players, according to Undead Labs, an impressive figure, which obviously includes all the players who joined on Game Pass and is no indication of you know, the copies sold or anything like that. You know, I liked the first one, and, you know, I played and beat the original second State of Decay, but it just was like there was no real story to it or anything like that. I feel like you know, it's just a bad situation. I don't know. It doesn't really seem you know, like it's a good situation to me anyway. You know, like, hey, why are we talking about this 2018 game, a remastered map? You know, like, that just doesn't really thrill me. They did some indies, something called Stray Blade or whatever. Like, I don't know. At this point, I think most of us in the stream were hoping that this all came to an end soon, and that it was like kind of a long day or whatever. I think the saving grace for this whole entire thing was Dying Light and, of course, Forza Horizon 5, which looks really good. And listen, You can tell that Microsoft is proud of Forza Horizon 5 because they keep showcasing it, and I think that's a really good thing. And Playground Games are really masters of their craft. It kind of goes to show one set of developers versus another, and how confidence in something versus no confidence in something are very much evidenced between this and, say, a Halo. Given the fact that we keep seeing gameplay and gameplay and gameplay of Forza Horizon 5, and they're given lots of specifics, and then on the Halo side, it's like, we have to cut back, it's not going to be a finished game, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. So yeah, I think that is very, very stark contrast to two development teams there. 343, I have absolutely no kind of love for, and I have no real trust in them for being able to do anything really. I don't know. It just blows my mind. So with that being said, that's my thoughts on it. Microsoft can do better. I felt like if you're not going to do something or go big, you might as well just not do it. Microsoft really kind of lost the goodwill that they had, in my opinion, and continue to struggle to find that back-to-back win that they really need. So with that being said, make sure you guys like the video, share it out, fact them up, rack them up, crap gamer them up, crap gamer out.